Hey guys, Steve here. Today I got a look at the Tier 7 British cruiser Edinburgh. I got Fraser on the screen here. I've been using this build up and down the line. I think it's pretty good. For this ship, I think those of you that have been running Tenet, this is going to be the one that shines the most for a couple of reasons. Number one, the armor is good enough. I think it's 30 millimeter plating kind of in the front and the back, so you can have a fair amount of success bouncing shots. You're not invincible. But if you're angled pretty much directly at targets, you're going to have more success than you have been seeing earlier in the line. Number two, turret traverse on this one's a bit of a problem. The first game I played in it had it outfitted with the mod in slot 4 that reduces the reload time but increases the traverse. Due to the nature of these British cruisers, and sometimes you need to be in close, especially if you're hunting down destroyers, it was a little too slow. I was having trouble keeping the guns up to speed on the targets. So next game I switched it to 5% range increase on slot 4. Slot 3 I got concealment mod, I believe, and 2 steering gears, number 1 aiming systems. That's my build on the ship. And that's been working out pretty well for me. If you compare it to something like Martel, for instance, that one I run the slot 4 mod that cuts down the DPM, or increases the DPM, cuts down the reload, but that ship's more designed to be played at range. You're not going to be pushing in as aggressively as often, so that's the reasoning behind my build here. Here we got a game on Haven. This ends up being a pretty high damage game. Could have been a 6-kill game, but my helpful teammate at the end, you'll see. Not that I care about kill stealing. Fiji's pulling forward. This is a good opportunity to get some crossfire shots into them. Usually when they're slowing down like that, you can expect the smoke to be deployed as we see there, but we're still able to get a couple shots in worth of damage. Now, this ship, kind of the standouts on my builds, the sea detection rate's 9.8, 9.7 on the Otago, which is the best at Tier 7 and for cruisers at least. So, very good concealment. I do have the Makawa inspiring the build, and of course the concealment mod. And the rate of fire is currently the best, 7.5 on the reload compared to 8.8 on the Martel. Now this game, I should point out, I only have the hull upgraded. I don't have the other 2 perks, the torp or the range increase, so that'll affect the performance you're seeing a little bit. Pretty solid ship though, all around. I think it's kind of weird because the caliber of the guns have been 152 is pretty much up and down the line, and as you've been getting up in tiers, obviously the armor that you're going against is increasing, so you got to kind of be able to continue to pick your shots. You got to be actively looking on that map, looking for broadsides. A lot of cruisers, the HE type spammers, once you find a target, like let's say this John Bart, I'm committed to him. If I'm in the Otago, for instance, I can just keep pummeling him with HE, hitting him with that explosive damage and combining it with fires. And in this case, the Jean Bart continues to be an attractive target, mostly because he's broadside. He's pretty close range, so it's an easy shot into that superstructure. So because of his positioning and angling, that remains an easy target. Any angled away, though, we're just going to keep an eye on the map and look for those broadside targets. That's what you want to be firing at here. Maneuverability-wise, the ship's a little bit on the clunky side. 33.2 knots on the water. Compare that to 32.5, the slowest Baltimore, and 38.4, the fastest Otago, at least on my builds. Tight turning circle though, 680, best of tier, and 7.7, and that's with the rudder shift mod in slot 2. So that'll come down if you're running the Tenant build or potentially the Belfast build. You do have some options for maneuverability on that one. But if you keep an eye, or you keep in mind kind of the limitations of the ship, you'll be doing alright. Here, the guys now, same thing. Broadside target, pretty close range. Superstructure is a little harder to hit on this one, but we're able to just continue to put these shots in, and we'll do some sustained damage. Good support from the team too. We do need to keep an eye out for that destroyer though. Last spotted in this vicinity. We do pop the sonar, and the sonar should be used in conjunction with the smoke. Usually, you're kind of a sitting duck in smoke clouds. And as a bigger ship than a destroyer, it's a juicier opportunity to kind of blind fire the smoke with torps. So get in the habit of kind of using those in conjunction. If you're positive there's no destroyer in the area, then you can use it in other situations. But Gnaizno here, we're trying to get him down before he gets out of here. Battleships, even if you get them really low, if you leave them alone for 3-4 minutes, they'll have a couple heals. They pop 2-3 heals, you never know. And next time you see them, they could come back with half their health, which is a bit disappointing. So we need to get out of here, though. People are starting to shoot at us. He's starting to get some support. And the destroyer is coming around. Here's the Jervis. It's popping up. We're going to torp right there. Usually, destroyers are a lot more, jittery. They'll dodge and weave. And I was expecting them to cut in, try and torp me close range. Torp's irrelevant, though. We're just kind of getting him down as a distraction factor mainly, and then blasting him there, taking him out for the first kill. 62k, 63k damage. Vicious shot from the Iowa. You don't want to be sitting there broadside from the Iowa very often, this thing. Get a quick torp down there. He looks like he might be kind of aimed down the sight and sailing straight forward, so we put that one right on the indicator. And then we get behind this, I believe it's the Alabama here, and the goal is to get him to shoot at him while allowing us to continue to fire. We don't have smoke available, so we're kind of at the mercy of his targeting decisions here. But at that angle, even though he's angled slightly, we're still able to get some pretty decent damage here. So kind of the downside of the British cruisers is you're a little bit at the mercy of your opponents. If you have 9 players on the other team who all do an exceptional job of angling the entire match, you might have a bit of a problem. Torp's coming in there. Looks like we got 2 for sure. Might get the third one on the nose. And we do. And he gone! Yep. Took a little bit for the dev strike to pop up, but he was definitely gone there. Gnaizno pops up again. Seems like his health's probably recovering a little bit, or at least holding steady. He's barely out of range, but we're going to try and take those desperation shots just to whittle him down as much as possible. And hopefully that Alabama, that's going to be pushing forward aggressively for the rest of the match, calling for help on the radio. I need him to finish the Gnaizno off. You're going to have a hard time whittling battleships down in these British cruisers. The only play to do it quickly is to get close and torp them. Not ideal in all situations. So in this situation where we're down on ships, it looks like it's going to be a close game in terms of score. If you're the battleship player and you're just saying, what should I focus on? It needs to be get rid of that other battleship. Then your other classes of ships that remain will have a better chance dealing with the remaining ships that the enemy has. So don't always just be focusing on whatever goal is easiest or most in front of your face immediately. Kind of evaluate the situation and say, all right, what do we need to do to win here? What can I do to help my teammates win? Especially if he's pushing forward and he's crying on the radio nonstop because he's getting focused. What he wants me to do is go there to support him. But my first duty is to clear these people that push the base. If I go way north, support that battleship, these guys just get on the base. Even if they get 3 points, as we'll see later in this game, that's enough to potentially turn the tide. So defending the base, keeping them from getting those points from sitting on the base is going to be key. And, the Alabama, if he wants to push forward, that's his own decision, but I make the decision that I'm not going to support him. I don't think it's a good play. He ends up actually scoring better than me in this game. He does have a premium ship, which gives you a 25% bonus to XP, I believe. Keep that in mind. But I'm not saying he has a bad game, but some of the decision making and then crying about it on the radio kind of wears me down as the game goes on here. So I'm continuing to be torn here. I want to help him get rid of that Gnaizno. That would open things up. I'm relatively confident. I think a lot of these cruisers that are left are Fijis, and I think they have a Baltimore. And there goes the Fletcher. So that removes some spotting threats and some kind of torp, pain in the rear type of threats. Game's getting a little bit easier, but I'm still concerned about the Gnaizno. Fiji's looking like he might eat those torps. I can push into this Fiji here on the enemy team, though. And we do have the sonar ready, so if he's sitting in the cloud, we can spot him. I'm using that island directly in front of me to get close to him. I'm expecting him to pop out of that smoke and proceed to the base, or potentially try and find me and get rid of me, and then get on the base. That's what I would that's what I would assume most players are going to do in this situation. Once they can't see you, they kind of get bored and start looking for things to do. So we're using that island to get close. If he doesn't pop up, if he's still in the smoke, then we can start thinking about using that sonar. He's angled in though, so we're going to aim up here and try and hit above those guns is really the aim point that we're looking for. I'm a little bit broadside there. That's a dangerous thing to be doing. The Fiji, as we know, puts out quite a bit of damage. But we're just trying to close in here and, you know, kind of bully the ship a little bit. He's forced to turn a little bit there, trying to torp me, and we get him in the Citadel to close that one off. So we're up to 122. That's a pretty solid game. 36,000 HP. You know, we're about 4 times our HP and damage, give or take here. And there's the guys now. I'm going to keep pinging him on the radio. Just get rid of him, and the game's over. I can handle these other ships. I'm reasonably confident about that. But we need to start factoring in the score as well. If the Alabama goes down and he's being focused by a lot of ships, that's a 100-point swing in their favor. And that's going to make it really difficult for me to finish this game off. We'll see here once the Fiji's eliminated just how close this game actually is. But guys not that low, you can say, yeah, you can handle him, which is true. But it'd just be easier for me if he does it. Fiji's popping around though. Looks like he's trying to torp the Alabama, which isn't a bad play. They've got a 2-ship lead there, but we do make him pay for that play. Hit him with the 10K salvo, and then we're just going to aim up just a little bit, try and finish him off with the Superstructure Shots. We get him. Torps are coming in. Alabama actually does a pretty good job of angling away from those and dodging the torps, so a good play for that. And if you look at the score now, we can see what I'm talking about. Because no team has put a ship in the opposite team's capital, and we've all killed the same class of ships on each side, i.e. 2 destroyers, you know, the same amount of cruisers, same amount of battleships. The score is tied here. And so what we need to do now is get on that base for 1 second, or 5 seconds technically. You'll get 3 points for that, I believe. And then we're going to have the lead on score. And I'm planning on this guy dying. I think he's pretty low in health. But if he dies, we lose that 100 points. They have the 100-point advantage. But then, due to the fact that he's on the base for 5 seconds, we'll have the potential to regain, actually tie it up and then regain the lead if I'm able to kill the guys. Now, cruiser, I wasn't exactly sure what it was here. I probably should have looked on the roster. It is the Baltimore, which is probably a semi-difficult target for this thing to hit just because the Baltimore can angle fairly well against cruiser AP if they angle properly. Alabama does kill the guys now though, so now he's covered that, but again, he's low in health, so I'm telling him get on the base. He was pointing at the base, get on there for 3 seconds. He wants me to do it. He wants to go chase the damage, so that's kind of pissing me off. It's a really selfish play. If you're not trying to win, especially a very tight game, where in my opinion he's kind of made it a little bit tight and he wants to shoot me back, which is fine. He's made it a little bit tight by pushing forward really aggressively and whittling his health down. It's fine, he did a lot of damage, he contributed. Like I said, he ended up getting a good score on the game. But I thought if it was me and I was thinking, okay, well, if I die, I'm going to lose 100 points. Maybe I can rectify the situation by getting on the base temporarily. Anyways, Baltimore comes around. He's angled about 45 degrees in, but we're going to still shoot at this. Both the Baltimore and the Edinburgh have improved penetration angles. The British cruisers have that up and down the line. So even targets that are angled at this 45 degrees, we're not going to have a lot of difficulty penetrating these shots here. He's pushing it aggressively. He's not a torp threat, we know that. So we're just going to keep pushing him down here. Hopefully get the Kraken. But I think our friend the Alabama is going to claim the kill for himself. So he ended up having a pretty good game, but a little frustrating in terms of teamwork, in my opinion. Anyway, that's a look at the Edinburgh, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.